the Cubs, their playoff positions being jeopardized after they really had their peak. They've fallen apart. Sorry, that was just me being a Swiftie. I don't know if you can hear me actually talking over it, but yeah, looking at this, the Cubs' playoff positions are now threatened. They are only one game ahead of the Diamondbacks, and they are only 2 games ahead of the Miami Marlins. Actually, their space increased a little bit because oh no, it didn't, but it's going to realistically. I mean, like, unless the Marlins can score 4 runs here, at least, then the Phillies are going to beat them. So, yeah. But it's not looking good for the Cubs. It's just not looking good for the Cubs. And it's unfortunate, but they're really collapsing. Look at their last 10, and now at 5-5. So, the Cubs lost 3 games against the Diamondbacks. Today's game, they lost in extra innings. This is a very bad series to lose. At this point, if the Diamondbacks win tomorrow, they become tied, and Diamondbacks will easily control the lead. It'll be, unless the Cubs win all 4 remaining games against the Diamondbacks are going to control the lead. The Cubs did sweep the Giants, pretty much keeping the Giants out of the postseason and not allowing the Giants, the tiebreaker. But that's the only important tiebreaker that they control. They split with the Reds, and because they were already 5-4 in the Reds' favor, now 7-6, Reds control the tiebreaker. Because the Phillies swept the Cubs in late June, Phillies control that tiebreaker. Marlins also control the tiebreaker over the Cubs. So Cubs really don't control the important tiebreakers, and in a tight NL race, tiebreakers are going to be important. That's why the Brewers series, when the Cubs and Brewers are split 5-5, is going to be so important. Can the Cubs defeat the Brewers in a series that might give them the NL Central title? And looking at it recently, they lost the series against the Diamondbacks. That already happened. They swept the Giants, split with the Reds, beat the Brewers, beat the Pirates, beat the Tigers, beat the Royals, split with the Red Sox, beat the Blue Jays. The last series that they lost them was in early August, and it was actually quite embarrassing because it was against the New York Mets that they lost the series in. They beat the Braves the series before that. Then they beat the Reds in a series. They actually swept the Reds in a series. But before that, the Reds have had a 5-1 lead. That's why the Cubs couldn't catch up in the end. And actually, it's not. They didn't sweep them because the Reds won the first game in a 4-game series. They won 3 out of 4 games against the Cardinals, swept the White Sox, then won 3 out of 4 games against the Cardinals in the series, beat the Nationals. They did lose to the Red Sox in mid-July, but really, this is their 3rd series loss since the All-Star break. The Cubs really have been a resurgent team. The Cubs' record at All-Star break 2023, as you can see here, was it 75-67 total, and they went 34-19 after. They must have been 41 and 48. They were not good. Really, if you look at the teams after the All-Star break, Dodgers, Orioles, Mariners are all better than the Cubs. But Cubs are in 4th place. And it should be 34-20 after the All-Star break. But look at these teams. after the All-Star break. Really, besides the Cubs are outpacing the Braves at this point, though whether or not that holds is, still up in the air, kind of. So, the Cubs are still in that precarious position. So what am I going to say? What I'm going to say is that we have to look at the Cubs' schedule for their realistic chances in the playoffs. We have to look at their schedule coming up. They do have an easy series against the Colorado Rockies. I don't know if we can actually get a sweep, but we should be able to win at least 2 games. If we lose a series to the Rockies, pretty much our playoff hopes are gone, because then we have another series against the Diamondbacks. And again, considering how they beat us this time, I'm really scared for what's going to happen. I just hope that we can improve in the future, because if this Cubs offense can't get better, we're just not going to beat the Diamondbacks, and then we're going to pretty much be kicked out of the playoffs. Pirates should be easy to take care of, and we do thankfully have 2 series against the Rockies. But then we go up against the best team in baseball, the Braves. We beat them the first time, but I don't think we can do it again. And then we end the series with the Brewers. So again, not the worst schedule in the world, but again, a lot of very important series for the Cubs. Looking at the Cincinnati Reds, who they currently trail 4-3, this is like the only time I'm rooting for the Cardinals. And then they have one more game against the Cardinals, which again, hopefully goes as well as this game does. This is the only time that I actually want the Cardinals to win. I hate them normally, but I need them this time. But then they play the Tigers, a pretty bad team. Then they go up against the Mets and then the Twins. Twins, I think, could give the Reds some trouble. Mets, Tigers, they are not really going to be big threats to them, and nor the Pirates or the Guardians or the Cardinals. The Reds have a lot easier of a schedule ahead of them. They didn't really have any important series ahead of them with those playoff contending teams. Looking at the Miami Marlins and their games ahead, which they lost, which is good. One more game against the Phillies. Again, going to be important in that wild card race, considering the Phillies, still, even though they're probably going to get the 4th seed, they still are in it. Although, honestly, at this point, it's just very well possible that their record might. I want to look at Phillies vs. Marlins 2023. Five and 5. What is the source out of these? Okay, 5-6. So the Marlins actually have the tiebreak over the Phillies. Again, not really the reason why I wanted to examine this, but I think this doesn't include the most recent ones. I think it's 6-6. But again, Marlins vs. Phillies, whoever controls the tiebreaker, I think it's going to come down to that game. And then they play the Brewers, which could be important if the Brewers don't win the division, but it's looking unlikely. Then they play the Braves. But 4 games against the Brewers, and then they play the Braves. Again, Braves, I think, are a team that could really stress the Marlins out and make them not be able to, make it. And I'm glad they have to play the Braves. But then they get an easier against the Mets. They do have to play the Brewers twice, though. But then they get to play the Mets twice, and they get to conclude against the Pittsburgh Pirates. So, again, Marlins' schedule, not too bad for the team, but it's like, but, it could be better, really, for both sides. Diamondbacks, they get to play the Mets. So they also have a pretty easy series ahead. That being said, I think the first time that they played the Diamondbacks, the Mets played the Diamondbacks. I think the Mets actually managed to sweep the Diamondbacks, and it's pretty much what caused them to lose their NL West lead. Then they play the Cubs, again, a very important series. Then the Giants, who pretty much were already kicked out of the playoffs after their sweep by the Cubs. And then they play the Yankees, White Sox, Astros. So again, it's a bit of an interesting ending season for the team. Giants, I think that, so they're being the Rockies. They play the Rockies. then Guardians, then Rockies again, Diamondbacks, Dodgers, Padres. And then the Dodgers is how they conclude the season. So, again, not really worried about the Giants. Very worried about the Diamondbacks, Reds, and somewhat concerned with the Marlins. And getting ahead of the Phillies would be nice. Getting ahead of the Brewers would be nice. I don't see it happening. Brewers in the schedule. They're playing the Yankees. And the Brewers already beat the Yankees twice. Damn it. Then there's the Marlins. Nationals, Cardinals. Marlins, Cardinals, Cubs. Again, a pretty easy schedule. And that's what I'm saying. Is that there aren't that many important series coming up. If you just take a look at the American League just for fun and you look at this crazy race, I'm actually going to tell you who I think is really going to be able to win this the AL West. So, right now, Astros are beating the Padres 7-5, and then they play the Padres one more time. Athletics, Royals, Orioles, Mariners, Diamondbacks. The Astros-Mariners series is very important to determining who's going to win the AL West. It's a very important series. And I think that the Diamondbacks could give the Astros a hard time, or they could ultimately fizzle out. But with them playing the Royals twice and the Athletics, I really do see the Astros winning this division. Mariners lost to the Rays. It's a 4-game series, but the Rays won 2 of them. Let's see what the Mariners can do. But again, Rays are a very good team. Then they play the Angels, a collapsing team, but then they play the Dodgers, one of the best in baseball. Athletics, Rangers, Astros, and then Rangers again. And the Rangers has how they conclude. So, again, important to see if they can really even make the playoffs. The Rangers are playing the Athletics right now, tied at 2. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate how competitive the AL is versus the NL. But then they play the Blue Jays, an important series for, again, that wild card spot. Guardians, Red Sox, Mariners, Angels, Mariners. Not actually too bad. So, really, it's a free fall, but I think the Astros are going to get it.